Hello, this is going to be a quick video about my starter for Path of Exile 3.21 Crucible League. Nothing crazy. This is going to be a Boneshatter starter for Slayer. We're playing Slayer. You can play it as Jug too. I honestly just prefer the damage that Slayer offers me. Having the turbo culling just kind of feels nice. I want to play the Slayer edition and not the Jug edition. With that being said, when I do PvE reviews, I do them a lot, and the first thing we always have to check are two things. One, the configuration tab to see if there's anything illegal happening here. So as you can see, we have Fortify because we use Fortify support. The Rage here I will explain momentarily once we go into the gear. We are leeching because we are a Slayer. We have 3k overleech. Max effect Pride, War Cries at 20. There's no like 90% shock. They're intimidated because we have a node on the tree, and maimed because of our totems. So far, so good. Now, let's put one thing clear, right? The DPS you see here at 21 million is like full uptime trauma stacks. You sit there and whack for like 6 seconds, right? This is not your actual average DPS. Average, I would say, is about half of this, maybe like 10 to 12 million. Okay, so I want to say that right off the bat to not get baited into thinking this is like an average of 21 million. This is not the case. It's more like half of it. For me personally, that is still more than enough for a budget build with the items here. Okay, speaking of items, I went with the Axe Edition. No real reason for it series. I felt like with the Crucible uh, skill tree on weapons, it felt pretty interesting to look into this to maybe have a cool little tree for Edziri's favor. You can still craft a better Vol Axe than this. It doesn't really matter. I just kind of went with this. Obviously, as a starter, I have a early game here with like things that are much more accessible, right? And then the default here would be kind of early end game items. I play in a private league, so these might be a bit more difficult for me to come by, like on day 1, day 2, day 3. But if you're playing softcore trade, none of this here is insanely expensive to acquire. The most expensive things would be the axe, depending on who actually uses this, and then a 1 stat Watcher's Eye for Impale with Pride. That's it. That is the only thing that's expensive about this. The rares here, nothing really to write home about. Just a bit of life, some res. The reservation efficiency is obviously very important. Max res is also nice to have. Duressos here is also very cool because we love onslaught. Because onslaught gives us attack speed. Attack speed is good for trauma stacks. So this is very good. Also, we can use Enduring Cry for bosses, right? To consume those charges and give us permanent onslaught, basically for bosses, which is very nice. For mapping, we don't need that. We have onslaught in other ways. Onslaught on kill, I think, is this one. Was it this one? Which one is it? What? Oh, it's this one. Aha, the third one. There it is. Onslaught on kill. So that's very nice to have. We also have a flask for it, but we don't really need it for the most part. The +1 strike here is very important. Obviously, we want to have another target to bonk when we do Boneshatter, because we're not taking Tribal Fury or the attack mastery for that. Accuracy. We need accuracy on 3 pieces of gear with this setup, aka our gloves and our 2 rings. These are not top roll. It's about 300, 350 each, right? Because we're using PT to gain 40% more damage. This is like usual technology. Again, nothing here is exceptionally like new, but this is my take on the Boneshatter Slayer part. I like to craft minimum frenzy charges on my jewelry because I don't have a way to generate them, and we benefit both from the more damage and also the attack speed from all of these. So I like these. It's kind of nice. Kind of nice to have. Immunity from chilling to chill from our boots. We have an increased action speed as an implicit here from, I think it's Eater. Implicit. It's like the one of the lowest rolls. I think it's like 4, 5, 6, 7. I chose 5. Accuracy here is also important. I think with this setup, we are pretty close to being dead even. If I'm not mistaken. Now we're still like 400 over, so it's still fine. That's okay. So this is fine here. Also, so here's the real tech, the belt. I don't know why people don't really use this too often. Maybe because you have to like use a flask to actually like manage it properly. This gives us max rage and immunity to curses when we have 25 rage. Whenever enemy hits us, it gives us temp chains for 5 seconds, right? So either there's two ways to do this. Either you actually just wait 5 seconds, which no one is going to want to do because waiting sucks in this game. Hence the Kiara's here, right? You jump into the first pack, you get hit once, you get temp chained, you use this, right? Removes the curse, gives you automatically your max rage, which is 55 for us, which is in the configs here at 55, right? And that enables you to use berserk whenever you want to, which is very, very good, right? Gives you that 200% move speed here. Without it, we're at 129, so it's pretty juicy. Gives you a bunch of defenses. You just go zoom, zoom. It's very, very good. And you rinse and repeat that process throughout the entire map, right? We also have this mastery here to make sure that, let's say you don't want to use berserk for whatever reason, like you just want to use it once for the boss, you can sustain your rage stacks with having this. Even though it's only once per second, it doesn't matter. Like you won't drain them. Hence why we take this. But realistically, you can still like use it, rinse and repeat that process throughout the entire map. I don't play Trade League. Last time I did, maybe a few leagues ago, this was a cheat belt. A few chaos. Maybe like not day one. Day one might be a bit more expensive, but ultimately it's not a very expensive belt. And it has like a few juicy stats, like life, chaos res, and immune to curses, which is huge, honestly, nowadays to be immune to curses. I love this belt. As a melee enjoyer, I try to fit it as much as I can on all of my builds. Because again, it enables like use of berserk and immune to curses, which normally is actually really hard to get, especially on a melee character. This is very dope. And you're not like berserker, right? For like a rage generation. I don't know. I just like, I know I'm fangirling over this belt, but I really try to include this technology whenever I can. Yeah, we have a 1 stat pride for our Watcher's Eye for Impale, because we are Impale with our bonks. These are just kind of generic, a bit of life, attack speed, and increased damage. Nothing too crazy. And we have 1 cluster, because there's some really, really good nodes here. This one is really good, Feed the Fury, because we're always leeching, so 15% attack speed and 30% increased damage is very good for a node. This node gives me like 12% DPS. Wild. It is so good. I don't have enough space to like include another cluster in this setup. I'm also playing in a private league, so I want to keep this as kind of simple and clean as possible. Only one is enough for my setup. You can maybe get a second one if you're feeling ambitious, like here. But again, I kind of want to keep this as easy as possible to kind of get going. Rest of the tree is very simple. We get precise technique as early as possible because it is such a big damage boost. We get life across the tree. We get the new juicy node here for leech is instant, 10%. We are leeching at 3k, which is pretty nice. We get that. Vol Pact, of course. I don't use Blood Rage. I know we overleech and it counters Blood Rage very easily, but I just don't like running Blood Rage. Like, think you're doing a trial or something and you have Blood Rage on. It's just, I hate it. So I'd rather not have it. It would be a bit of an increase in DPS. Personally, I just hate using it. It'd be like another 9 or 10% or something, but I just don't like using it. If you want to, that is another boost at that point in time. The rest here, I get max res. Max res is juicy. We have another 2 chances to get max res. One from reservation here. If we reserve life and mana, which we do because we have precision, if I'm not mistaken, on arrogance here. All right, so we get another max res. And on armor, we also get one, which is very nice. So we had 81 all res and 76 chaos res. Love that. A few generic life nodes, axe nodes. I don't think I take many more new nodes or new masteries. I do take this one, which is kind of nice when you're stationary. Because when we're, you know, just bonking, we kind of need that extra armor. I think in my settings here, I have 3 seconds. I could do more here to boost it to 52k, but I feel like averaging out at 3 is good enough. So we're doing that. And yeah, the rage check here, just to make sure we have rage. If you want to just keep the rage stacks and not use berserk all the time, you could do that. That's pretty much it for the tree. Again, nothing too out of control here. I do hate that we have to anoint this because it is by far the strongest option for melee, and I hate using it. And I wish one day they'll change how melee interacts with totems. But until then, we have to suffer and use this because it is insane how good it is. Quick check at our skill setup here. We have our bonk setup. I use Impale. I've been told it's not common to go Impale, I guess, on Boneshatter, but I don't know. It just seems to work out for me. It's the most DPS I could kind of really get out of this 6-link setup. And it cost me basically, well, not nothing, but not much. It's 1 support gem and 3 nodes here. And that's it. We're like Impale capped. So, and also it works with our Watcher's Eye. But for removed Impale, I think I lose like 40% DPS or something. It's kind of ridiculous. So, anyways, we have our close combat, brutality, Impale, fortify, ruthless. I can do this level 22 to make this a bit more ethical. No awakened gems, nowhere. I don't want to use those in my POBs. We have our forever 4-link totems for Warchief and Protector with Maim. Maim is also very important. It is almost 7% increased damage. Auras, Determination, Pride, War Banner, and we have Berserk too. Unfortunately, we still have to run Determination because it's just one of the best auras in the game. Vulnerability, Leap Slam, Ancestral Cry. Here we can also use, for clearing, Ancestral Cry is by far the best, but you want to use Enduring Cry for long boss fights. Not like a map boss, but like think Maven and shit. Like that's going to be much, much better. Why? Not because of the regen, because we can't regen. It's to generate our endurance charges, right? Remember, because we use this, it'll sacrifice those endurance charges the second we're hit and give us 6 seconds of onslaught. Repeat that process over and over to have onslaught up all the time. Very good. Very good. That's it for that. And then precision on our life. We need precision because we have to use precise technique, and also because it gives you us +1 max res, which is pretty good. We need Ice Golem because we need accuracy. Right? Realistically, if you have better rolls on your jewelry, right? Because these are fairly low at 301. 301, right? If you get like tier 1 rolls, I don't think you need the golem. But unfortunately, in my setup, I kind of have to do it. It's on cast when damage taken with life tap, so like it's not too big of an issue, but it could free up a slot hypothetically for, let's say, Vol Arctic Armor, right? The thing where you just panic like, oh, I don't want to die, you hit that, and you tank anything in the game. That could be an option if you find enough accuracy to not have to use this. I'm playing in a private league on launch, so I'd rather have everything here be a bit more accessible. Nothing here in Trade League screams expensive. As you can see here, this is a 3 stat ring with crafted frenzy. So if you have the luxury of trade, you probably won't need to have the summon Ice Golem here. But I don't, so I'm going to have to use it, which is okay. And that's pretty much it for skill gems here. I think that covers pretty much everything here. Again, there's like no new technology here. It's just a good old Boneshatter, Bone Zone Slayer with not that much investment. I'm not sure if you're playing trade how much this would cost you. It depends on the axe. Everything here is garbage. It will not cost you much. This isn't day 1, to be clear. Again, we have a early game here for items which have even less stats, right? And a very easy craftable Vol axe here, right? And maybe a few divines early league to get Impale, the Impale stat with Pride. And that's pretty much it. Looks solid for me, honestly. Again, averages out at maybe half of this. 10 million average, 20 million burst DPS. Seems solid enough for me. Normally my builds, I go for 5, 8 million. This turned out to be even better than I expected. So it's kind of nice. Survivability seems okay too. 3k over leech, 81 all res, 76 chaos res, a bunch of movement speed because of berserk. Overall, I'm very satisfied with this. And I think it's also a safe starter. Boneshatter has been very good since its release. It's like melee or the melee spell, right? Because it scales with levels, so it's very, very nice. There is room for improvement if you want to push this build even further. Obviously, these items are not very, very good, but ultimately you can get level 21 Boneshatter and the equivalent here for brutality, like awakened brutality and stuff like that, to increase your DPS even further. So realistically, you can get more. And also, I almost forgot, I don't have the enchant here on the helmet for trauma stacks, right? If you're a big boy and you have currency, or you're a psychopath and you want to farm lab, you can actually get this, which is a huge deal. Almost 14% more damage with this enchantment. So pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. But I'm not a psychopath, so I'm not going to farm this. But maybe you are, right? And that's going to wrap it up. If you guys like this content, consider subscribing for future PoE builds and have a happy League launch.